Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Beanie and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be going over the top 10 center fielders in MLB The Show. And guys, this position is absolutely loaded. I firmly believe that even if you take out Pepe Alazar, which I am going to do in this video, Pepe will not be featured in this video just because I don't really feel like I mean, it's obvious he would be the best or whatever, and I don't know. I'm you know me, I'm not that big of a fan of that card anyway, so I'm just gonna leave him out just so I can include you know, some more players that are more accessible to people. But obviously everybody knows Pepe's great. You don't need me to tell you that, so whatever. But even if you take him out, I firmly believe that the top end of this list is comprised of 3 of the best players overall in MLB The Show. It's very deep as well. Lots of effective players 1 through 10. So yeah, with that being said, before we get started, I do want to remind you guys that if you retweet this video, you will be entered into the raffle to get into my giveaway tournament that's going to be happening from December 29th to December 31st. So if you want a chance to get into that, go to Twitter, follow me on Twitter, like this video, be subscribed to me, and then just retweet this video, and you'll be entered into the raffle giveaway. If you'd rather try to play me for a spot, come to one of my streams and get me to put you down on the list to play me, and you can try to qualify that way, or you can sponsor me to get in that way. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick reminder of that. This is the 3rd retweet video that I've done. So if you've retweeted the previous 2, this will get you your 3rd entry into the giveaway. So with all that being said, all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. Before we get started with the top 10, there were 3 honorable mentions that I do want to just quickly go over. The most notable one, though, is the 94 overall Ichiro. He's the one that a lot of people will probably not be happy that I left him off the list. But when I was going through it, there were just too many guys that had all of the things that Ichiro does. Or, you know, I mean, they all have great contact. They all are fairly good in the field, and they all have a good bit of speed. Not all of them, but the ones that that I ended up putting on the list, most of them had those things, but they also had power to go along with it. So the fact that Ichiro is pretty much devoid of power was just, it was too much of a downside for me to consider putting him on the list. The other 2 that ended up missing the list was the Andrew McCutchen and the 95 Andrew McCutchen and the 94 overall Jim Edmonds. Jim Edmonds missed the list because his swing really isn't all that great, and he doesn't have a lot of speed to like make up for it or anything. And Andrew McCutchen missed the list just because he doesn't hit righties as good as I would want him to put him on a list like this. So those are the 3 honorable mentions. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the top 10. At number 10 is the 96 overall Dale Murphy, and it was very, very close between him, Ichiro, and Andrew McCutchen, but I ended up going with the Dale Murphy just because he does hit righties just fantastically. He is very, very good defensively. He can get to plenty of balls, and he just has a cannon of an arm. And he is one of these guys who also is a sneaky good base runner. He has some speed. He has some stealing. He's kind of a 5-tool guy. The only major downside with this card is the fact that he is totally 100% a platoon card. This card is not useful versus left-handed pitching. So that is something that you want to take into consideration when going to the ticket counter to maybe buy this card, is that you do need to have a bench player that can hit lefties effectively. And a guy that I could think of that would be a good platoon for this card is the Andrew McCutchen. If you had both of these guys in your lineup, then it does eat up 2 roster spots, but you end up having you're always going to be in a good spot, and you're always going to have a guy who is super OP versus whatever handed pitcher you're facing. So yeah, 96 Dale Murphy coming in at number 10. At number 9, we have the 96 overall Carlos Gonzales, the Cargo. And this one is a little tricky because he looks fantastic. He looks like he should possibly even be a top 5 player, but he does have just an awful swing, a very top spin heavy swing. And another downside to this card is he does have the auto shift played against him. So that plus a really top spin heavy swing, you're going to be hitting into a ton of shifts. And that's a major downside to this card. That could end up eating 40, 50 points off your batting average. And it's too much for him to really overcome. He was also a guy that I considered putting on the honorable mention list, but his raw attributes were just so good that I had to end up putting him on here, because from a raw attribute standpoint, he is a great hitter. 95, 92, 91, 88. His vision could be a little higher, but you know, you can work past that whenever his contact and power is so good. He also has a fantastic arm, and he's not terrible defensively. He has a tiny bit of speed to go along with it. Other than his swing, this is definitely a top 10 worthy card. It's just the swing kind of kept him from being higher on the list. Coming in at number 8 is the 97 overall Kenny Lofton, and I had a long debate between this card and the Ichiro, because you have to decide what you value more. Do you value the power boost that you get with the Kenny Lofton and the speed boost because he is faster, or do you value the strong arm of Ichiro? And personally, I think that the power is a little bit more important. And it ended up getting Kenny Lofton onto the list while I left Ichiro off the list. Plus, he does have a lot more. I mean, this guy is an absolute demon on the base pass. 96, 96, that's among the best in the game. He's going to be a nightmare to go against whenever he gets on bases. He's very, very difficult to throw out, and he's going to be getting on base a ton. Now, one issue with this card that kind of made me question where I put him exactly on this list is his swing. He has a two-handed compact swing, but it's not a normal two-handed compact swing. It's like an alternate version of the two-handed compact swing. It's a little bit different, and it's even categorized as different, like on the Creative Player page or whatever. So it's hard to know how that affects his Kenny Lofton. I haven't used that swing all year. I haven't seen it. So I don't really know exactly how that swing plays. If somebody in the comments wants to go and check that out and let me know exactly how effective that swing is, I would really appreciate that, because it could end up making this card be like way higher on this list, or it could drop him off the list completely. I don't know. I just don't have the information at hand on that swing. So I felt like 8 was a good, comfortable place to put him. But I am willing to either move him up or down the list depending on where his swing falls. So yeah, the Kenny Lofton at number 8. At number 7, we have the 97 overall Matt Kemp, and this is another card like the Cargo that is held back quite a bit by his swing. But if you take the swing out of the equation, which it is a one-handed long swing, so it is not good at all. But if you take that out of the equation, this guy is among the best center fielders in the game. He's fantastic versus righties. He's legendary versus lefties. One big issue is the vision. You're probably going to be working with a slightly smaller PCI, especially at like the Hall of Fame level and stuff like that. But he's a very effective fielder. He doesn't have a great arm, but he also doesn't have a noodle. And 83 speed with 71 stealing, that is plenty to get the job done. True, kind of a poor man's 5 tool. He doesn't have like blazing speed, great fielding, or great speed, but he has above average in all of those categories. So I would call this guy a 5 tool card. And it's very effective in that capacity. The only problem is you've got to get past that swing, and it's not a card for me, but I could see how it would be really appealing to some other people. Okay, at number 6, we have the 95 overall George Springer, and this could be one of those situations where I'm valuing swing too much. I know a lot of people tell me that, and this could be one of those situations, because from a raw attribute standpoint, this card is not as good as like the Matt Kemp or the Cargo. it's still very good, but the thing that puts this card over the top is his swing. He has a great two-handed compact swing, plays a lot like Carlos Correa's, and, you know, guys like him, David Wright, Ian Kinsler, Corey Seager. It plays a lot like that. This guy has a ton of power. His contact is fine. You know, even the 75 versus righties, that's good enough. His vision at 61 isn't great, but it's also not, you know, horrific or anything like that. He has 86 fielding with 80 arms, or 83 fielding with 86 arm strength, and he has 77 speed to go along with it. He's going to be fantastic out in the field. Well, he's going to be very good out in the field. Better than above average, but not quite elite. That's what he'll be out in the field. Running the bases, I would kind of caution against being super aggressive with this guy on the base pass, because 19 stealing, even with the 77 speed, the 19 stealing isn't going to be all that great, and you probably are going to have a tough time stealing that many bases with this card. But overall, it's a very appealing card. It's a card that I could totally see myself using, but not quite good enough to make it into the top 5, which we'll move on to now. Okay, at number 5 is going to be the King Griffey Jr. And I've kind of went back and forth with myself. Do I like this one better, or do I like this one better? And finally, I ended up coming to the decision that I like this one better. The Battle Royale reward, it's very, very close though, like extremely close. I mean, this card gets it by, you know, literally a hair, because they're very, very similar cards. The big reason why I chose this card, though, is because he has slightly higher vision, and he's slightly better against lefties. He doesn't have as much power as the other one does against lefties, but he does have better contact. And when you're hitting lefty on lefty, I think PCI size is pretty important. So I do like the fact that he does hit lefties a little bit better than the other card. And he's also very effective against righties. 88 with 99 power. He's going to be hitting a lot of bombs for you. He does kind of have a top spin heavy swing. It's not a one-handed long swing. It's a one-handed normal swing. But it is kind of weird to hit with. It does generate more top spin than you would think, and that does hold this card back somewhat. But overall, it's still a great card. He's going to play phenomenal defense for you. And this card is also a little bit faster and has better stealing than that other card too. So he's going to be a bigger threat on the base paths. So even though I think it's extremely close, I do end up falling on the side of the postseason Griffey. So yeah, maybe you want to, you know, spend all those, like, what is it, 500,000 stubs to go and buy this card. I wouldn't. If you have this Griffey right here, I would just hang on to him. I don't think this card is 500,000 stubs better than that other one, but I do think that he is marginally better, so I ended up going with him. Alright, at number 4, this is a card that I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on, man. I really do. I think a lot of people are going to say that I'm full of shit for putting this card at number 4. And there probably is a little bit of bias right here, just because I don't love Ellsbury like in real life as a player, but in this game, I'm the biggest Ellsbury advocate ever. I don't know what it is about this card, man. He just 93-89 versus righties. He's been a monster versus righties for me with 84 vision, which is like way higher than most of the center fielders on this list. For whatever reason, a lot of these power hitting center fielders are really strikeout prone, but this Ellsbury is not. I hardly ever strike out with him. He's fantastic versus righties, and he's very effective versus lefties too. The only one downside to this card is that he is kind of pull heavy. Like I don't really get a ton of power out of him when I try to go oppo. Generally, in order to tap into his power, I do have to pull the ball, like, you know, pretty consistently. The good thing is I'm really good at pulling the ball, so it's rarely a problem for me. But two other things about this card that are just great is the fact that he covers so much damn ground in the outfield. 91 fielding with 87 reaction and 92 speed. He is going to be all over the place whenever he's fielding. But the big downside to this card, and a thing a lot of people point to, is the fact that he has 59 arm strength. Well, the way that I mitigate that is I usually end up putting him in left field. Every now and then I'll put him in center just so I can cover more ground. but typically he's going to be in left field. He's going to be covering a ton of ground for me, and I don't really need the arm out there. It'd be nice, but I don't really need it. So it ends up making everything else play up for this Ellsbury. I love this card. I highly recommend it, at least to give him a shot. He's not super expensive in the market. He's very affordable. I'm a big advocate of this 96 Ellsbury. So, yeah, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong right here, if he should be lower, if Griffey should be above him, you know, if Cargo or guys like that should be above him. I don't think they should. I think that this is the 4th best center fielder in the game. So I'm sticking with it. 96 Ellsbury at number 4. At number 3, and oh man, dude, this one hurts because I want to put this card at number 1 so bad. I really do. But there are just a couple things that keep me from doing it. I want to put him there so bad. You have no idea how bad I want to put the switch hitting, power hitting, 5-tool threat that is Carlos Beltran in the number 1 spot. But there is one single thing that keeps me from doing it. Can anybody in the comments, pause the video right now, try to guess what it is? Because it is a major issue with this card, and it's the auto shift. It's the auto shift. This card gets an auto shift, and it's a very difficult thing to mitigate, and it does take several points off of his batting average. His swing is fine. He has a two-handed long swing. His attributes are among the best in the game. True 5-tool threat. He's a switch hitter. But that auto shift when he hits left-handed is a big, big deal. Now, the way that I've come to mitigate this is a lot of people are tempted to hit this guy either first or second in their lineup. I don't do that. And the reason I don't do that is because this card has an auto shift whenever there's no one on base. But if he comes up with someone on base, then he doesn't have an auto shift on him. So what I've started doing is I've hit Beltran lower than third, like either, I hit him third or I hit him lower than that, and I always hit him behind my best hitter, or the guy that I'm most confident with at that moment. Because if I can get that guy or the guy before him on base, then this Beltran is going to be perfectly fine. He's going to be normal, no auto shift, and you should be able to get the job done with him, because other than that auto shift, he is probably the best, one of the best cards in the game. Maybe even the best, but other than like Pepe. But that auto shift does end up putting him at number 3. I think the top 2 are pretty obvious, but I was very tempted to put this guy above maybe both of those guys. I don't know. I love this card, but you do have to work around that auto shift. But with that said, let's move on to the top 2. All right, guys, get your pitchforks out. Get your torches ready. Get ready to book a flight to Mississippi to come and murder me, because I'm not putting Mike Trout as the number 1 center fielder in MLB The Show. And no, Pepe Alazar is not ahead of him. It's the 99 Mike Trout, in my opinion, is, even taking Pepe out of the equation, is the 2nd best center fielder in this game. And I'm going to defend it when I talk about the number 1 card, but let's just talk about this Mike Trout for now. Obviously, this Mike Trout is fantastic. As the only live series card on this list, he's the only one that has active quirks, and he has some fantastic active quirks. He hits fastballs good. He hits breaking balls good. He excels when hitting with 2 strikes. He excels on the first pitch. So basically, if you want to get this guy out, you need to do it whenever he has 1 strike on him, because otherwise he's going to have the advantage. Those four quirks right there are very, very beneficial, but I don't think that it's enough to vault him into the top. There are a couple things that I think keep him from being the best in the game. One is he doesn't have the strongest arm. I mean, don't get me wrong, his arm is fine, but it's not, it's not an arm that's going to be, hosing guys out left and right. It's just a very solid arm. His vision, he has 54 vision, and while that's mitigated a bit by the quirks, I don't think that, I think that that the vision and the quirks end up kind of evening out to the point to where Mike Trout really doesn't have an advantage in that category or a disadvantage. So that, you know, I think that the vision just kind of brings the benefit of the quirks down a little bit. From a raw hitting standpoint, he's fantastic. 90, 93, 97, 92, that's phenomenal. It's great. And from a speed standpoint, he has very good speed with mediocre stealing, like maybe average stealing. So, you know, it's nice to have that guy with the speed, but I wouldn't be 100% confident that I'd be able to take any base at will. I'd have to get kind of creative with my base running. So yeah, fantastic card. One of the best cards in the game. One of the top 3 cards in the game. But this next guy, I think, in my opinion, is better than Mike Trout in this game. Not in real life. Not in real life. Don't get me wrong. But in this game, I think he's better than Mike Trout. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the number 1 card, number 1 center fielder in the game. As I think probably everyone knows, it's going to be the 99 overall Andre Dawson. And I love this card. I'm the biggest Dawson advocate in the world, and I'm going to tell you why I think he's better than the Mike Trout. Okay, let's start with hitting. Hitting, the Mike Trout has 90 plus everything, and he is better than this Dawson as far as contact versus righties goes. The thing that makes the Dawson kind of play up from that is his 90 vision. His PCI is always going to be huge. The Mike Trout, he has very low vision, and it's mitigated to some extent by the quirks, but you're not always going to have those quirks being applied. And with this Dawson, you're always going to have that vision applied. So, in my opinion, from a hitting standpoint, I think it's probably close to a wash. I think they're about just as effective as each other hitting. I've had about the same amount of success with both of them. I don't think one has the significant advantage over the other. So we're going to have to look to fielding and their speed to end up finding out who's the better player. And in my opinion, the fielding, it's not even close. This Dawson is the superior fielder to the Mike Trout. He has better reaction, he has better fielding, he covers more ground, and he has a better arm strength. He has 97 arm strength. That's elite. That's among the best in the game. It's an absolute cannon. He's going to be throwing guys out left and right. That's something that you can't really say about the Mike Trout. And while I think that arm strength is sometimes overrated in outfielders, it does still have some value. So that is a very important thing to consider whenever comparing Andre Dawson and Mike Trout, is the fact that this Dawson does have a significant amount of value over that Trout when it comes to arm strength and fielding. So yeah, point Dawson. No doubt about it, it's point Dawson. Fielding, he is the better fielder. Okay, but moving on to speed. The Mike Trout has the slight advantage over Andre Dawson when it comes to raw speed. But when you factor in stealing as well, this Dawson is more dangerous on the base paths than that Mike Trout is. He's going to get better jumps. And that's a big thing when it comes to stealing. I would take 83, 86 speed and stealing over 84 speed with, what is it, 64 stealing that the Mike Trout has. I would take the 83, 86 every day of the week. So that's another area where I give Dawson the advantage. Now, it's basically a wash with hitting, in my opinion. Advantage Dawson fielding, advantage Dawson speed. So that's why I believe that the Andre Dawson is the best center fielder in the game. If you wanted to like say something about the quirks, you could even give Mike Trout like the advantage in the quirks category, and I still think it would come out Team Dawson. I think Dawson is still the superior card, even if you give Mike Trout those points. So, yeah, that's why I think the Andre Dawson is the #1 card in the game. Now, obviously, if you could have both of them in your lineup, if you could stick Dawson in right field and Trout in center or left field or something like that, that's the ideal scenario right there. So yeah, if you can get both of them in your lineup, that more power to you. But if you have to make a choice between the two, I would go with the Andre Dawson. I think he's the superior card. A lot of people aren't going to like that, though. I could get some dislikes on this video, but I have to be honest with you guys. I have to call it as I see it, and that's how I see it. But yeah, guys, that is the video. I appreciate you coming by. Once again, a quick reminder, retweet this video to be entered into the tournament spot giveaway raffle. And yeah, I'll see you guys later on. But until then, peace.